My skin is black.
What you looking
My
at?
skin
Yeah,
is black.
I feel so good to be black right now.
is black.
What you look-
Welcome to episode 114 of the Black in Fashion podcast. Guys, make sure that you check out our Black Note series. During our Black Note series, you guys can send in your notes anonymously, so we can give our input, advice, and tips and stuff like that on your Black Notes. Don't forget to also send in your videos for the Black in Fashion I Am Black in Fashion campaign. We want to hear from you. I am your host, Lenise Collier, and this episode is sponsored by Harlem Fashion Week as well as 620 Style. I want to make sure I list all of their information in the show notes and, of course, give you guys a little bit of information about these two Black-owned businesses that you would want to be a part of. So, today I am joined by Tiffany of RGN Sport. As a Black woman and former soccer player with big thighs, Tiffany loved to working out, but hated having to constantly pull down and unroll her shorts mid-workout. That's what spurred the idea for a new type of short. That one that was made to stay put and had pockets. She shared her idea with her fiancé on a trip to South Africa, realizing that they had never seen athletic wear that showcased African print. He pushed her to pursue the idea after years of labor designing shorts and sports bras, trialing samples, and lots of love. RGN Sport was born. They are determined to solve apparel problems we've all faced. They don't want to just make your workouts easier. They want you to feel more confident whether you're running errands or walking your dog in apparel you know was made to suit you. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining me today. It is a pleasure.
Of course, Lenise. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, I'm making sure I had to articulate that because you know how many women have issues. I got thick thighs too. It is a constant struggle. So I'm glad that you were able to solve one of the biggest problems ever.
Yes,
so,
of course.
If you could just tell us a little bit about like your background, where you're from, where you grew up, how you got into the sports world, and we'll start there.
Sure. So I grew up in Virginia. I've been an athlete my entire life. In high school, I played 3 sports: soccer, track and field, and basketball. I went on to play soccer in college at Colorado College and a little bit semi-professionally afterwards. And, just working out had been such a big part of my life. But I always found, like, no matter what sport I was doing, what workout I was doing, I always had the same issues with shorts, and it always frustrated the life out of me. And so in doing a lot of travel and, reconnecting with my roots, just realizing that like while I was seeing more African print in a lot of different styles and clothes and in more settings, I wasn't seeing it in like sports settings. And that's what really intrigued me because it was 90% of what I wore outside of going to work. Mm-hmm. So that's really like where the idea was born from, and, a little bit of my background that created that this brand for us.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit about that sample making process for you. Did you come with sketches, or did you have to work with a different fashion illustrator? Like, how did you get your vision down on paper for someone to be able to create a pattern and get your fabric? So can you talk a little about your sample making process?
Sure. So I am self-taught. I've been sewing now for just 4 years, and I started making swimwear, and that is how I learned how to sew. I was just going on vacations, and it seemed like something that was within reach to learn how to do. And so from my knowledge in how to make swimwear is where I started sketching patterns for our shorts and sports bras. And then I was just trying to find a manufacturer, knowing that I didn't have the machinery. What it takes to make athletic wear and what it takes to make swimwear are two different complete ball games in a lot of ways. So I knew that I would need a manufacturer to do it in the way that I really wanted to, and it was a lot of trial and error. It was a lot of like learning the language that manufacturers speak, learning how to effectively communicate the changes that you want made in like clear and concise manners. A lot of samples being made, it being inaccurate, and you having to go back to the drawing board a little bit, tweaks and changes that you have to make. Maybe your manufacturer wants to charge X to do something, and it doesn't cost that, so you can take it away from your manufacturer to your pattern grader to someone to like tweak the patterns, things of that nature. It was a very strong learning curve. It was probably a year before the idea that I had actually came to fruition in a full cycle.
Right. Tiffany, I'm so glad to hear you say that. I'm only glad to hear you say that. I own an apparel consulting company as well. And
Okay.
that's what I do. I do product development and production for aspiring designers. So I do the fabric sourcing, the pattern making, the sample making, and then I push them into production, mostly domestic production, but I do work with overseas manufacturers. I do all the pattern grading. I work with different factories. I negotiate price. I do all of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
We have to talk offline.
yeah. I have, girl, I'm so busy right now. I got like 100 different projects, and I'm literally not
Goodness
lying. I have
gracious.
100 different brands. I'm just coming down because I'm not taking as many clients as I used to. But in the past
Understood.
2 years, but I'll take you, of course. The last 2 years,
I
I've
appreciate
created
it.
products for over 300 brands, and mostly Black women-owned brands. Is that?
Wow, I love that.
And that process that you was just explaining and you talking about, I say this day by day when I tell you, because like I get a lot of emails from clients like, where are my samples, where's my patterns, where is this, and I'm like, it's a process, and we do everything by hand, of course, because computers can't fit our bodies, and I'm working with Black women, so I'm doing a lot of plus size and swimwear and a lot of the things that you discussed. And it's always important for me to like trust the process. Like, it sometimes takes that amount of time to get the right fit, to get the right fabrics, to know the right construction. And I just feel like I'm always being, I ain't gonna say yelled at, but always just like pushed like to rush out these samples. And then I'm like, you don't even have your website yet. You don't even have your pricing strategy. You don't have your marketing. So you rushing me, and you ain't even you're not even ready, honestly, for production. Because sample making pricing is one price, and then you get to production, and it's a whole set of different prices. So it's
100%.
It's great to hear someone say that, like, from the idea stage, it took you like a year to get to exactly where you needed to be, because it is a process. And then it's also you learning at the same time, and making mistakes and doing trial and error, just trying to get to the perfect fit as well. So
yeah.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. That makes me happy. Y'all hear that? I've been telling y'all. It's a process, so stop rushing me.
Right. I also love to hear you say that you do everything by hand for that exact reason, that we are dealing with problems that most computers, their algorithms, what they are coming up with aren't suited to solve the problems that we're trying to solve.
Exactly.
So that's what makes that rub so difficult too, is that nuance of like, yes, I know that this is how you're traditionally used to doing it, but because I am trying to create something new, I need there to be more leeway there.
Exactly. Especially like with us creating, because like I say us, because I say Black, like creating products for Black women, and a lot of the things that we have seen in the markets and stuff like that, clearly they're not out there. So if you keep in mind that you're creating something from scratch, something you've never seen before, even more the reason why it's not as easy to do.
Right.
So like that should even give you like the more of like a little bit of ease to know like, hey, I'm creating something that's not out there. Right. I'm creating a product from scratch. That does take time, and it takes patience. And that was my grandmother taught me how to sew when I was 6, and the first book she gave me said the first thing you need in sewing is patience. Like literally, like it's because that's what it is. Like it takes time to create, So I love that she said that. Can you talk a little bit about just how you go about designing your collections? Like, do you have like a certain aesthetic in mind, like when every time like you do a drop, or do you just stay consistent to like using like your cultural background and just focus that? So I know you have a staple product, that stops from moving up the thighs, but as you grow into producing more products and stuff like that, what does your design process look like?
Yeah, so I think with sport, I'm definitely learning how to go about that. Like we have our 4 core products right now, and I'm learning like what I want to add to that mix and the aesthetic that I'm trying to drive. A big piece of like how I curate my products is based on what feels true to the customer base I'm trying to build. So what's solving problems for them? What are things that are really commonplace in the market right now that my best friends don't feel comfortable wearing, and why don't they feel comfortable wearing that, and where can I solve that problem for them? That's a lot of what drives the products that I come to market with.
Gotcha. Oh. You're saying everything I want to hear, Tiffany. So a little bit more. So I make designers that I work with, like, because like I used to just do products for everybody. Now I have a program where they have to learn and they have to go through like my mentoring and my coaching before I'll even do services. And the first assignment is to write a narrative from the time your customer wakes up to the time that she goes to sleep. So that way you really understand who your consumer is, and that way you know exactly what products to offer her. And that's my first assignment, like understanding, like do your customer profile, but also I need a story. I need a day in the life of the consumer so that you can figure out what other things you can offer her. So for instance, I do have a young lady that's doing active wear, like similar to you. We came down to you were making yoga mats, we making boxing gloves. So she has this certain image in her mind, like we're gonna do some water bottles, we're gonna do some hair wraps with the sweatbands on the inside, like all the different things that we can have, just like small, either gifts with purchase or adding something extra. But it's like you said, you have to make sure that you understand your market and see what's out there, but also make sure that you're satisfying all your customers' needs, like supply and demand.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely love that. So I have a little segment, and the segment is called "It's a Success" or "It's a Disaster." And in the "It's a Success, It's a Disaster" segment, I want you to tell me a story, something that may have happened like throughout your process, that it went completely to hell, but you learned something like from the experience. And the "It's a Success, It's a Disaster" segment is actually brought to you by 620. 620 is a sportswear. It's a sportswear made with a joyful spirit. It is effortlessly weaves together fashion and functionality with threads of bright colors and bold statement pieces. We don't just want to be a part of your special day. We want to be a part of your everyday. So make sure you guys check out 620 Style, follow them, and shop their collection. So Tiffany, if you can tell us a little story about something that definitely kind of switched around your gears a little bit.
Yeah, sure. It was definitely my first interaction with a manufacturer that I tried to work with. It was like heartbreaking isn't even the word. It just was so frustrating. From the way we communicated to what my expectations were, what they told me to expect, and what we received. Getting things wrong, like me having like the email verification that this is what it was supposed to be based on our communications, and this is what we received. Having to resource fabrics, having to source my own elastics, having to take what I gave them, they said they fixed, and then taking it to a completely different pattern maker and pattern grader because what they gave me in the end was botched. It was a nightmare.
Wow. Do you mind if I ask, where do you produce? Is it overseas, California, New York?
Yeah, we produce in China now.
In China. And when
Yeah,
you started, did you
our...
start domestically?
Well, yeah, that's what we tried to do. We tried to start in a manufacturer in LA. We were really interested in keeping it in the US, but it just felt impossible by the time we finished that experience.
Oh, I got you, girl. Because if you want to ever bring it on home, I got the perfect places for you. And I can help as well. I'm like, if you ever want to bring it back here, I got you.
Again, I would love to talk.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, that I've heard that experience multiple times. I get a lot of clients from out of LA, and people are bamboozling them, and it's usually because of like that learning curve that you were speaking about, like not being super duper educated on the different things. And when you change a fabric, yeah, you have to change a pattern because of the elasticity and all of those different things. And that's why I even end up changing my program to like make sure I feel like I was doing people not like I wasn't doing my due diligence, and I wasn't giving them what they need by not doing the education. But manufacturers expect for you to come in and know everything, and I don't really think that they're that great at working with new designers, because it's like if you're not willing to explain then or what's going on, then they just want you to come in ready.
Right. That's what this manufacturer said, that they were very well versed in. Like, we'll take you from your beginning stages to completely to fruition. Like, we're used to working with new designers, and it just completely fell flat. I felt like I was definitely bamboozled.
Did you lose a lot of money in a sense, or did you at least recoup some funds?
Money, time. Yeah, it was definitely a rub, but it wasn't. I mean, it ended up taking so long that the money loss was not as even a big a problem to me as the time that we lost. Because I was like, if I knew that I was gonna have to start from scratch, like I've been saving obviously because I know that we're gonna go into manufacturing, but the time that I lost and now having to start from scratch again 8 months later. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that's
sucks.
the part that was really frustrating.
Yeah, that really sucks. So can you tell a little bit about like your launch? Like how did you do it? You know, a lot of designers are afraid to, come out the gate and just have units because they're afraid that they might sit on those units. Did you go like that pre-sale or like that pre-order route? Like what was your sales strategy for your launch?
Yeah, ours was interesting. I won't say that we did it right. I will say
Okay.
that I learned a lot from our launch. We had a swim brand that we've had for 3 years at that time, and we were getting a lot of love at the beginning of 2020. We had like one of the best years. I was like, I don't know where people are wearing these swimsuits, but I'm glad that they're buying them. I'm so grateful. We probably should have leveraged having an established brand more to launch our sport brand, but because they're run completely differently, I didn't want to house them in the same company name. So they're two different brands, but I probably should have leveraged my swim brand more to launch my sport brand. That being said, we had just gotten engaged at the time. We were engaged for 4 months at the time that we launched RGN Sport.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really like homegrown. Like we really had a great like opening weekend and a lot of buzz. And we had, curated a lot of influencers that helped us carry that through. But because we were also saving for a wedding that we were having in a year from the launch, we weren't able to continue keeping that thrust going. You know what I mean? It was a lot of picking and choosing, like what our money is going to, what our time is going to, what we can honestly have the bandwidth to do, because it's really the two of us and people that we can hire to work in different aspects of the business as we go through the year.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have like a team now, and how are you managing like your product development and your production and everything now? Are you guys looking into additional business ventures? So how's like your day to day?
Yeah, I mean, we have a publicist, we have a dedicated manufacturer. We're definitely growing in how we're operating, but with we still work our 9 to 5, so we are like limited in how much we can interact with other people and going through the business. So right now we're just building in terms of like how to continue to grow and getting the capital in order to build our team further so that we can continue to expand.
Nice, nice. What are the product categories you're thinking about going into? Like, what can we expect to see from you like this year?
Yeah, so right now we just tested satin lined hoodies, trying to decide whether they should be cropped or curved hem. We'll probably may do a run of both.
Nice.
I just sampled some tank tops. If we get into, we're looking at vending at a couple of festivals this year, Broccoli City Fest and maybe Essence Fest.
Nice.
And if we do that, then I would like to do crop tops, because I feel like that's an easy nod for festival wear. So whether people want to wear it while they're at the festival, or even if they're just going to throw it on with a pair of jeans, like trying to find those seams where we're staying true to our brand. Like I love a crop top when I'm in the gym with my leggings. I just like that silhouette. But also staying true to knowing that our ideal customer has a broad life outside of the gym and outside of working out, and trying to be able to fit into that lifestyle also.
Gotcha. Nice. Okay, dope. So my last segment before we close out is called "It's a Muse." It's I just want you to give us something that you use as your inspiration, whether it is a book, a mantra, your morning rituals, a quote, anything that as an entrepreneur keeps you inspired and keeps you motivated that you would want to share with another entrepreneur.
Oh, sure. I like this question. I think the biggest sticking point for me in being an entrepreneur, really learning how non-linear owning your own business is. And I think that has been the hardest thing for me to grasp personally, because everything in life just seems like, you go to school, you go to college, you start working, and then whatever you do from there is really your own adventure. And trying to create structure in this non-linear space has been a welcome challenge, I would say. So creating like a morning routine, I used to be I'm not a morning person. I used to be like the person that was against like morning routines because I don't like routines for me are like boring. Like I like to what I did yesterday is different from what I'm doing today, and I feel like that's really owed to an entrepreneur. But having something that keeps me focused at the beginning of the day and helps me hone in on doing what I need to get done for my business has really helped me. Um, and I think I would add to that this may be lame, but Issa Rae is a big inspiration for me. I used to watch her YouTube special, The Awkward Black Girl, and I just love her glow up, and I just love that she stayed steadfast and true to herself and is famous and wealthy for being herself. And I think that is really a testament to staying tried and true, and to staying disciplined and dedicated to your craft.
Absolutely, I love that. Can you go ahead and throw out like your social media handles so everyone knows how to follow you? Any special events or anything that you guys got coming up, releases? Just throw it all out, and of course, I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Sure. We're on Instagram at RGN Sport. Please follow us and be involved in our process. We love to involve our followers in what we're creating next, how we should do it, like what length of shirts they like, whether it should be long sleeve, short sleeve, tank top. I love to involve our followers into helping us create what we're dropping next. They helped us create our leggings. They're the most comfortable leggings I've ever owned, and everyone that has owned them has said nothing but great things. And so I really like this process, and that's how we like to continue to do our business. Next up, we should have crop tops in the summer, maybe some long hem t-shirts for those that like to, not have their stomach out. I completely understand. And hoodies in the fall. So that's what you guys can expect from us next.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, cool. I just went ahead and made sure I was following you as well. I can't be on here talking to you if I'm not here with it. I just
Thank
follow.
you.
Perfect. And I just sent you our page as well. So if you need any help with like, hoodies, because we do in like, I have like this instant fashion designer program. So you
Okay.
can pick like the hoodie shape, of course, and then you can pick the color and you can pick your fabrication and like really, really customize it. So it's kind of like a little twist on like having private labels. So you don't have to buy and change the tags. We literally create it from scratch.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
called
will look
Instant
into
Fashion
that.
Designer. Yep. So
Okay,
I sent you
awesome.
our page so you can take a look at it as well. Well, that one at
Thank
least.
you.
I got like 4 pages.
Girl, I know the struggle.
Yeah, I have like 4 pages. I have the LC Apparel Consultant. I also have a non-for-profit. It's called the Black Girls Designer Club. So we offer mentorship and coaching and different programs for young girls that's interested in fashion. And of course, I have this podcast. I have a handbag line, and I have a consulting company.
Okay.
So definitely
That's
check
awesome.
us out.
Okay.
I think you would be amazing, one of our clients, and we can definitely take you wherever you want to go. If there's nothing that we cannot do, the only thing we don't do is shoes. Everything else we can do.
Okay, awesome. That's great to know. I definitely want to talk to you too about our Regalia swim brand, because I feel like that could be a fit for that also.
Definitely, definitely. I sent you the information. We'll talk offline as well. So,
Okay,
guys, thank
sounds
you
good.
so much for joining us today. And thank you so much, Tiffany, for being a part of the show. We look forward to seeing you doing some amazing things. Of course, guys, as I always say, stay black. Peace out.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. Have a
No
great
problem.
one.
Have a good one, Tiff.
All right. Bye.
Bye.